What if I told you there was a man who angered the gods, not once, but over and over again? And what if I told you they did not just kill him? No, that would have been mercy. Instead, they made him suffer. They made him wander year after year across a world twisted by their will, where time did not move as it should, where the dead whispered secrets he could not escape, where monsters did not just hide in the shadows, but wore the faces of those he once loved. Thunder rumbles low and heavy. The sea shifts unnaturally. The wind does not just howl. It speaks, carrying voices too distant to understand, but too familiar to ignore. There he stands at the edge of the world, a man who has seen too much, lost too much, fought too long. His name is Odysseus. Lightning splits the sky. For the briefest moment, a flickering shadow appears behind him. A phantom? A memory? He does not turn. The storm rages, but he does not flinch. The waves crash, but he does not move, because the storm outside is nothing compared to the storm. Inside, a long silence. Then, softly, barely above a whisper, he speaks. Not to anyone in particular, perhaps to the sea, perhaps to something unseen. How many more? How many more must I lose before I return? How much more must the gods take from me? The answer comes, not in words, but in movement. The sea begins to rise, higher, higher than any wave should. But this is not just water. It is something else, something alive, something watching. The ocean curls toward him like a claw, but it is not the water he fears. It is the faces inside it, screaming faces. His men, the ones who fought beside him, the ones who trusted him, the ones who followed him across the endless sea and died for it. Now they reach for him. They call his name. Their mouths open, but there are no words. Only the sound of the wind pulling them deeper. Is this a vision? A warning? Or something worse? Thunder cracks. The wave crashes down. Everything goes black. This is the story of Odysseus, a king, a warrior, a man who outsmarted gods, defied fate, and paid the price in ways he never imagined. Then, suddenly, fire, chaos, screams, the sound of a city falling apart. The final night of Troy. Inside the great wooden horse, the air is thick with sweat and fear. The Greek soldiers do not move. They do not breathe too loud. Even the strongest among them feel the weight of what is about to happen. Outside, the Trojans cheer. They believe the war is over, that the gods have blessed them with victory. They could not be more wrong. Odysseus crouches in the darkness, his hand gripping the hilt of his sword. His heartbeat is slow, controlled. He has waited years for this moment. He has played the long game, and now the end is in sight. He leans in. A whisper, "Wait for my signal." No mistakes. The men nod. The silence stretches on, wrapping around them like a noose. Then, at last, the sound they have been waiting for. The gates of Troy shutting for the night. Odysseus moves first. The hidden hatch creaks open. His men follow. One by one, they slip into the city unnoticed. Torches flicker. The streets are empty. The Trojans are asleep. A single nod from Odysseus, and the Greek army descends like a shadow. What happens next is not a battle. It is a slaughter. Troy burns. Homes collapse. People scream, running, searching for an escape that does not exist. Odysseus moves through the chaos, his sword striking without hesitation. His men carve through the city like fire through dry grass. The war is over. Troy has fallen. Odysseus had won. But victory is never without a cost. Cut to a ruined temple, half buried in smoke and ash. An old Trojan priest, bloodied and shaking, stands alone, watching the flames consume his city. His voice trembles, barely a whisper. "You do not understand what you have done." Odysseus does not hear him. He does not see him. The priest's words are carried away by the wind, lost beneath the screams. "You think this victory is yours?" "No, it belongs to the gods, and they do not share." The priest collapses to his knees. The temple behind him groans, crumbling into dust. The moment passes. The Greeks leave, believing themselves victorious. They should have listened. The sea is calm. Too calm. Odysseus leans against the mast of his ship, his lips curled into a rare smile. For 10 years, they fought. For 10 years, they bled. But now it is over. The wind is strong, their sails are full, and Ithaca is waiting. The men celebrate, their laughter filling the night. But then, something changes. The wind stops. The waves stop. That a silence falls over the sea. A silence so deep, it is unnatural. The men notice it too. They stop laughing. They look around, confused, uneasy. Then, the mist comes, thick, black, crawling across the water like living shadow. It clings to the ship, to their skin, cold as death itself. That a sound rises from the deep, not the sound of waves, not the sound of the wind. Laughter. A low, guttural laughter that does not belong to any man. Odysseus stands straighter, his fingers tightening around his sword. His instincts scream at him. Something is wrong. Then, thunder. The sky rips apart. That a storm unlike any they have ever seen explodes into existence, crashing down without warning. Rain slams against the deck, heavy as stone. The waves rise, but not like normal waves. They curl and twist like hands, reaching, grasping. Something moves beneath the surface. Not a fish, not a whale. Something larger, something watching. Odysseus shouts, his voice lost in the storm. Hold the line. Row for your lives. The men scramble, grabbing oars, pulling, fighting against the madness around them. But it is too late. The sea rises. A monstrous wave, towering, unnatural, crashes down upon them. Ships are snapped in half. Like twigs, men are dragged beneath the surface, screaming. Odysseus barely has time to reach for his sword before the cold, merciless water swallows him whole. And then, silence. For a moment, there is nothing. No air, no sound. Just the crushing weight of the sea, pressing in on all sides. Odysseus kicks, fights, claws his way back to the surface. That he gasps, his lungs burning as he breaks free from the water. The first thing he sees, not the wreckage, not the storm. A hand, floating, fingers stretched toward the sky. But there is no body attached, his second in command. The man who had fought beside him since the beginning. Gone. Odysseus hears the scream before he understands it is his own. The storm rages on. The sea takes what it wants. The gods have spoken. And this is only the beginning. The sea is quiet now. Too quiet. The storm that nearly tore them apart is gone, as if it had never been. The sky is clear. The water is calm. The air is warm and sweet, carrying the scent of flowers and fresh fruit. Land appears on the horizon. A lush, golden shore, untouched by war, untouched by time. A paradise. Odysseus does not trust it, but his men are starving. Their bodies weak, their spirits broken. And so, they row toward it, desperate for rest, desperate for food. The island welcomes them with open arms. Tall trees stretch toward the heavens, heavy with fruit. The ground is soft beneath their feet. The river water is cool and clear, sweeter than any they have tasted before. Then, the people emerge, not warriors, not enemies. They are smiling, gentle faces, warm eyes, laughter that seems to dance in the wind. They offer fruit, small, golden, glistening in the sun. The men take it, eat it, swallow. And then, they forget. The tension in their shoulders fades. The hunger, the pain, the war, all of it drifts away like a distant dream. One by one. They sit, their weapons slipping from their hands, their eyes growing soft, unfocused. Odysseus watches. His grip on his sword tightens. Something is wrong. The sun hangs high in the sky, but it does not move. The air is warm, but there is no breeze. The water flows, but it makes no sound. Odysseus kneels beside one of his men. Get up. The man looks at him, blinks, smiles. What? Odysseus frowns. We have to leave. The man laughs, a slow, lazy laugh. Leave. He stretches out beneath the tree, sighing. But we just got here. Odysseus feels something cold settle in his gut. They did not just get here. How long have we been here? The man does not answer. He only hums a soft tune, rocking gently. His hands trace patterns in the sand. Odysseus stands, looks around. More of his men, lying beneath trees, wading into the water, laughing, forgetting that he shakes another man by the shoulders. Get up. The man blinks at him. Who are you? Odysseus' breath catches. He knows this man. They fought together at Troy. They survived storms, starvation, death itself. But now, the man only stares at him, blank and lost. You know me, Odysseus. insists, gripping him tighter. Say my name. The man opens his mouth, closes it. His brow furrows in confusion. He does not remember. He tilts his head, smiles. Does it matter? Odysseus rips him to his feet. The man laughs, weakly resisting. Let me go? I don't need to remember. I don't want to remember. Odysseus drags him toward the shore. The moment his feet touch the water, his body shudders. A light tremor, then a sudden, violent gasp. His eyes widen, terror flickering behind them that he grips Odysseus' arms, panic setting in. Odysseus? Where am I? Odysseus doesn't hesitate. He shouts for the others, orders them into the water, one by one. As the waves touch them, the fog lifts. But not all of them wake. One man refuses to leave. I don't want to remember, he says, backing away. Please, just let me stay. Odysseus reaches for him, but the island pulls him back, not with hands, not with force, but with something deeper. Something inside him. His own name fades from his lips. His past, his pain, his home, all of it disappears. And then he is gone. Not dead, not lost at sea, but part of the island. Odysseus watches as his men row away. One short, and the island watches back. The cave is dark. Too dark. The air is thick, with the scent of meat, roasted, fresh, inviting to Odysseus. Men stumble inside, eyes gleaming, hands reaching for the feast laid before them. They do not ask questions. They do not wonder who cooked this food. Odysseus steps inside last. He does not eat. Something feels wrong. The air is too still. The silence too deep. Then, a sound low, deep, breathing, heavy, slow, and not human. A shadow moves. Something shifts. A massive shape, rising. Odysseus barely has time to react before the ground trembles. Thump, thump. The earth shakes beneath their feet. A giant. A cyclops. The men freeze. Food still in their hands. Then, a hand lashes out. Faster than anything that big should move. It grabs a man, lifts him high. For a moment, the man kicks, screams, begs. Then, crunch, his body goes limp. The others stumble back, horrified. But the Cyclops does not reach for them. Not yet. Instead, it smiles. It is playing with them, watching, waiting, enjoying the fear. And then, a new sound. A whisper. Not from the Cyclops, but from the shadows of the cave. Something else is here. Odysseus' blood runs cold. He turns. Movement in the darkness. Shapes that should not be there. Figures that shift when he tries to focus on them. The Cyclops is not alone. The cave is not just his home. Something watches them from the dark. Something hungry. They have to act. Now, Odysseus grips his sword. His mind moves fast. The plan forms. A lie. A trick. A name that is not his own. The wine. The stake. The Cyclops roaring as its eye burns. Chaos erupts. The cave shakes. The shadows move. Odysseus and his men run. The others in the cave do not follow. But as they sail away, Polyphemus whispers one final warning. You think this is the worst thing in the dark? His voice is calm now. Almost amused, he tilts his head, smiling. Fool. Odysseus does not understand. Not yet. But Poseidon does, and he has heard his son's cry. The curse has only just begun. The sea carries them forward, though none know where it leads. The storm that should have killed them is gone. The curse that should have drowned them is quiet, for now. Then, through the morning mist, land appears. Not just land. A palace, tall, golden, untouched by time. Odysseus feels it before he sees it. A wrongness in the air. The trees are too perfect. The sky is too still. Even the wind seems careful, whispering rather than howling. His men do not feel it. They see sanctuary, shelter, hope. They are fools. The moment they step onto the island, the trap is already set. They do not see the eyes watching them from the trees. They do not notice the strange silence of the birds, and they do not sense the magic curling around their skin. Then she appears, Circe, beautiful. Too beautiful. A goddess? A witch? Something worse. Her voice is silk. Her touch is warmth. Her words are soft, inviting. You have suffered much, great warriors. Rest, eat, drink. There is no war here. No curses. No gods to torment you. They believe her. Of course they do. They follow her inside. Odysseus waits. He does not trust easily that he was right. Moments later, the screaming begins. He rushes inside. The great hall is silent. Too silent. No men. No warriors. Only pigs. They shuffle around, eyes wide, bodies trembling. For a moment, Odysseus thinks they are simple beasts, that they are gone. But then, one of them looks up, and he sees it, the eyes. Human, aware, terrified. They are still inside. Circe does not just turn men into animals. She traps them in their own bodies. They try to scream, but only snorts come out. They try to beg, but their mouths cannot form words. They are trapped. Forever, unless he stops her. Odysseus grips his sword. He will not let her take them, but Circe only smiles. A slow, knowing smile. You think you can fight me? She asks. She raises a hand. The air shudders. Odysseus feels it then. The magic pressing in, wrapping around his skin. His fingers stiffen. His breath catches. His legs begin to change. Circe tilts her head. Amused. You are strong, she murmurs, watching him struggle. But even you cannot resist me forever. She steps closer, reaches for his face. He cannot move. Then, a flash of silver. A small vial, cool against his skin. He does not know where it came from. A gift? A trick? A last hope? He swallows. The magic shatters. Circe staggers back. For the first time, she looks afraid. Odysseus lifts his sword, and now she listens. Odysseus should not be here, and a living man should. But the gods demand it, and so he sails to a place where no light touches. The ground, where no warmth lingers in the air. A place where the dead wait. The river is black. The sky is not a sky at all. Only endless emptiness stretching beyond reason. That he steps onto the shore. The moment his foot touches the ground. They come. They do not walk. They do not breathe. They only appear. Ghosts. Shifting, flickering, trapped between this world and the next. That he calls to them. His voice is steady. His hands are not. I seek answers. The ghosts do not speak in words. They speak in memories. The first screams. Blood pours from wounds that never close. His mouth stretches wide, but no words come. Only the sound of dying. The second burns. Fire devours his skin. His fingers curl, frozen in pain. The third, Odysseus recognizes the third. His mother. She stands before him. Whole, beautiful, young. She should not be here. She was alive when he left. Mother, he whispers. She tilts her head. Mother, it's me. She smiles, but it is not right. The smile does not reach her eyes. Her face flickers, twists, becomes something else. Then she is gone. Odysseus reaches for her, but there is nothing there. The underworld is not just a place of the dead. It is a place of forgotten things, memories, names, faces. Everything fades here, and Odysseus is running out of time. Then, a final figure steps forward. Not a warrior, not a lost soul. To see her. Eyes black, skin pale, mouth twisted in a knowing grin. That he does not speak. He only leans close, and then he whispers. A prophecy, not of war, not of gods, but of home. You will return, he breathes. You will see Ithaca again. Odysseus waits, but the seer is not finished. His grin widens. But you will not know it. Odysseus frowns. What do you mean? The seer chuckles. You will step onto your land, and it will no longer be yours. Odysseus' breath catches. The seer leans closer. You will return home. A pause. A flicker of something dark in his empty eyes. But it will not be home anymore. The words settle into his chest like ice. Odysseus turns away. That he does not thank him. He does not ask for more. That he does what every man must do when given the truth. He leaves. The sea had tormented him. The gods had toyed with him. The dead had warned him. And yet, he returned. After 10 long years, after storms, curses, monsters, and death itself, Odysseus steps onto the shores of Ithaca once more, his land, his kingdom, his home, but it does not welcome him. It does not feel like home. The trees are taller. The roads are unfamiliar. The voices that drift from the market are not ones he recognizes. Everything is different, and he is not the same man who left. Odysseus does not reveal himself. Not yet. Instead, he moves through his land as a beggar. A stranger. His once loyal servants do not bow. They do not whisper his name in awe. They push past him, ignore him, laugh at him. A king. Unseen, he reaches the palace gates. The halls where he once walked as a ruler are now overrun. Suitors fill his home, eating his food, drinking his wine, calling for his wife. They do not know he is here, but she does. Penelope. She sits at the far end of the great hall, silent, her hands weaving thread through a loom. A picture of patience, a picture of waiting. Her face is the same, and yet not. She is older now, not in body, but in the way she holds herself, guarded, distant, untouched by the chaos around her. She has waited for him, but has she waited too long? That night, she announces a challenge. Whoever can string Odysseus' great bow and fire an arrow through 12 axe heads shall be my husband. Laughter erupts. The suitors mock her, mock the challenge. No man alive can string that bow, not even Odysseus himself. One by one, they try point one by one. They fail. The bow does not bend. The string does not pull. Then, the beggar steps forward. The room stills. The suitors laugh at him, but not for long. With ease, with grace, with the quiet confidence of a king, the bow bends beneath his fingers. The string pulls taut, and in a breath, the arrow flies through the first axe, the second, the third, all 12. Silence. Then, chaos. The beggar stands. The disguise falls away. Odysseus has returned. He does not wait for words. The first suitor falls before he can draw his blade. Then the second. Then the third. By dawn, the halls are silent. Ithaca is his once more. Victory. But something is wrong. The feast is cleared. The dead are buried. The kingdom is restored. And yet, Odysseus feels it. A coldness where warmth should be. Penelope watches him, but not the way she once did. His son, Telemachus, stands before him, taller, stronger, a man now. But his eyes do not shine with admiration. They are guarded, hesitant. His father has returned, and yet, he is still a stranger. Odysseus walks through the halls of his home, halls he once knew so well. They feel smaller. Colder, he looks into the mirror of the polished bronze shield hanging on the wall, and for the first time, he does not recognize the man staring back at him. The gods have let him return, but the years have stolen something from him that he has fought. He has survived. He has won. And yet, he does not belong here anymore, because home is not just a place.it, is a feeling, a connection, a thread of time that binds the past to the present. And for Odysseus, that thread has been cut that he is home, but it is not home anymore. And perhaps the greatest curse is surviving. And so, the journey ends, but not as it began. Odysseus left Ithaca as a warrior, young and proud, with fire in his heart and the promise of victory in his hands. That he returns, not broken, not defeated, but changed in ways even he cannot name. This was the journey of Odysseus. A legend whispered across time, a tragedy written in the stars. A tale of survival, not just of the body, but of the mind, because the greatest battles are not always fought with swords and shields. Sometimes they are fought in the heart, in the mind. In the silent moments between victory and loss, between who we were and who we have become. Odysseus fought gods. He defied monsters. He outlived his enemies. But in the end, he could not outlive time. The world moved on without him. And that, perhaps, was the cruelest test of all. A warrior without a war. A king without a kingdom. A man who returned home, only to find he no longer belonged. And so, we ask, was he truly victorious? Or was his curse never the sea, but the survival itself? This was his journey, his legend, his price to pay. And now, his story is told. But there are more stories to tell. More myths waiting in the shadows. More heroes, more curses, more gods who weave fate like a thread through the lives of men. That if you wish to hear them, if you seek the truth behind the legends, the stories that shaped the world, then stay with us. Subscribe for more myths and legendary tales. For the gods are never done, and neither are we.